Q&A. My name is Tracy Matson. I'm a certified dog trainer and behavior consultant. And I'm really excited to be here. If you're new and this is your first time joining, please give me your name and either state or country so I can enter you in the drawing. Sometimes it just comes up as Facebook user, so I just need to know who you are and where you're from. And then I can enter you in the drawing. So I have my slips of paper all cut up. I'm going to put them in Jade's water bowl, and then at the end, I'm going to let her draw a name out. She usually draws a mouthful, but then I just grab one. So we'll see how she does. Hi, Brian. Okay, so let me add Brian. Brian, didn't Renee win last week? I think she did, if I remember. Hi, Anita. I have last week's list at home because last week I was at home. Tonight I'm in my office. Anita, Florida. So you guys, it has been absolutely dumping here. This is like one of the worst winters I can remember. Every single day we have so much snow that my dogs could literally, hey Renee, my dogs could literally almost just step over my 5-foot fence. It's crazy. And on the days that I have to drive to Park City is always the worst. So it's just been nonstop. Okay, so it takes me a little bit longer. Hi, Nicole, when I do it this way, but it's okay. Oklahoma. Hi, Karen. Okay. And it's so cold outside and it's dumping snow, but actually in my office is kind of hot. So right before I went on, I had my fan on. So I've been doing my fan, but it's like on the batteries. So I just turned it off. Okay. So Karen, is Massachusetts MA? I always get confused if what's MA, MS. Maybe I'll just write Mass. It's like I can never remember Alaska, the difference between like Alaska, Arkansas, some of those. So, oh, thank you, Karen. Was that the Three Little Pits one? The with the yep and the nope song? So I have to give credit to the other trainer that works for me. She's like 24. So she's very social media savvy. And when she started to work for me, she very nicely said, do you mind if I take over your Instagram account? Because you kind of suck at it. And I said, have at it. I hate social media. So, yes, I love that song. So I actually heard that song in a movie and said, hey, could we do something with this song? So like I find songs I like, and then we think of dog training things that we can put it to. And then sometimes she'll say, hey, this song is trending. Let's try to come up with something. So she's the genius behind it. Sometimes I just have to be on camera, which I don't really love doing, but so we take turns. So if you see the ones with Caitlin in them, she's the blonde, and I pay her to do my Instagram account. And we just started Willie's own page. So we have Willie's Wheels. So Willie's.wheels. We don't have a ton of stuff on his yet, but we made him his own page. So, yeah, in fact, tomorrow she's coming up and we're going to film more reels. So she's totally got me like hooked on this, but I would rather be behind the camera. But I do like that we try to make it training related and kind of fun like that. So I'm getting used to it. There have been a few times when, because the like she understands all the algorithms and stuff, like when to post and the time of day that most people are on, and like I don't understand any of that. So, but we have to also try and get the dog to fit the song. And so we were trying to do it with this one song, and we had to have Jake do something really fast, like sit down, touch, like da 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 da. And we did it like 8 times, and then finally I'm like, okay, I'm done. I'm like, my bandwidth is done. Let's just not do this one. So I definitely have my threshold of what I can handle and how many times I can do something over and over and over again. And sometimes, like, the dogs just don't cooperate, and they don't do things the exact like time that we want them to. So, well, thank you, Karen. It's fun. I'm actually like, I start to get more excited about doing them. I don't. It's not. It's kind of stressful when we're doing them, but then when she gets done and puts them to music and sends them to me, then I'm like, oh my gosh, that's brilliant. So some of the stuff she does all the editing, she does the music, she does all of it. So I can't take credit. She is the expert on that kind of stuff. So I'm very lucky to have her. Um, okay. Oh, and Renee saw it too. Cool. Yeah. There there was a movie called, oh, I can't remember the name of the movie. It was with Shia LaBeouf, which I love, and so I watched it, and that song was in the movie, and I've liked that ever since. And so I saw a reel with that, and I said, Caitlin, let's do something with this. And so we came up with it. But she has a whole list of reels that she wants to do. So, like, when we both have a day off, we'll get together and just film reels, and then she does them whenever. So, yeah, if you follow Three Little Pits, which thank you for following us, um, you can also follow Willie's Wheels and see. We're gonna attempt tomorrow to get him in his new custom built cart and let him zoom through the snow, which is probably higher than him. So we'll probably do it like not right in the lawn. But we're going to try and do a cute reel with him and his new cart. So that will be fun and interesting. I tried to film him in his cart, and I couldn't remember how to get it on, for one thing, because the doctor did it really quick. And then I'm like, oh, shoot, there's all these straps. I don't know where all these go. So I got him in, and he ended up being able to get his back legs out. So it didn't work so well. So I have till tomorrow to figure out how to get his cart on. Because at home, he doesn't wear his cart at home. My house is too little, and he would bump into stuff. And at home, he really doesn't need it, because he just, drags his back legs. But outside, we put it on him. So, yeah, it's been fun to do reels with him because he's hilarious. How was everybody's New Year? I had one client today tell me that she did the sound desensitization with the Pupford app that I kind of made her buy. I mean, I don't really make anybody do anything, but I encourage them. And so she did the fireworks with the app, and it worked great. But then her kids were out in the back, and the dog went out, and they let off one of those screamers that like make the sound, and it was really loud with the dog being in the backyard. And then there was the visual. So she said that all of a sudden she heard this blood curdling scream, and the dog came running in the house and was just shaking. And I said, well, yeah, so like usually I'll get a dog used to the sound first and then maybe do the visual from a distance and then slowly get closer. So the fact that she did the sound was great. Like that worked great. But then the dog was like right in the backyard with the kids up really close. So it kind of scared him, because then you have the visual and you can see the thing, going zzz, and then off, and then made a big bang. And so it scared the dog. So I guess a little bit later there were some neighbors doing some other fireworks or firecrackers on New Year's, and the dog was fine with that. So just kind of something to keep in mind when you are working with your dog on that stuff. Like I like to start with the sound, quiet, and then build it up. And then when you start with the visual, start from a distance, so far away, and then slowly get closer. So, but she didn't know that her kids were in the backyard and that they were going to let off a screamer with the dog. So, hi, Julie. And then I have some clients who live in California, and they come. They have a house in Park City, and they come for 2 weeks every holiday. And I usually watch. So they have a Bernedoodle, and in the past 3 years, I've had their dog over New Year's Eve because they have a big New Year's Eve party, and they didn't want the dog there. So this past year, they added 2 more Bernedoodles, puppies. And so I had all 3 dogs on New Year's Eve. And since we had all the snow, I let them out to play in the yard, and they came in with all of the big snowballs. And I just kind of let it melt. My house looked like a swimming pool. I mean, I mopped 4 times, but the whole bottom level of my house was just soaking wet. And then they jumped on the furniture. They got the furniture all wet. I was going to actually sleep on the couch so the dogs could just sleep on the floor, because I didn't think I had a crate big enough for them. But the couch was wet. And so I ended up putting the 2 6-month-olds in a crate, and then I just left the big one out and went upstairs. And then when I came down the next morning, the one dog, who's a little bit more timid than the others, had like explosive diarrhea in the crate. And it was so bad that I just took the bed and folded it in half and threw it in the garbage. So New Year's Eve was, needless to say, really exciting and a lot of work. So I had 7 dogs at my house. 4 or 3 of them, 4 were mine, and then the other 3 were these big Bernedoodles. The one dog is probably like 120 pounds. And then the 2 puppies that are sisters are actually not much smaller than him. So, I mean, my dogs get along really well with other dogs, but I'm not used to having like the really long hair that just gets everything soaked. Like everything was soaked. So when I took him back the next day, I came home and it took me 3 hours to clean and get my house back in order. Like I had to wash all the couch covers, mop the floors again, clean out the crate that had diarrhea all over it, and just get everything like back into order. So I'm thinking, I don't know if I want to do that next year or not. So, Nicole, the dogs and I went to bed early. As far as I know, they slept through any fireworks. yeah, I mean, they don't bother. My dogs are fine with them. Like, they don't care. And because of where I live, the whole month of July we have rodeos, and September. So for Labor Day, there's another rodeo. So um, we have there. They always do fireworks at the end of every rodeo. So my dogs are just used to them because we just know that they're going to go off, and it doesn't really bother them anymore. So I did have one dog. My Hallie did not like fireworks or thunder, and I used to put a thunder shirt on her, and it actually worked. Like, she would just lay on the bed and calm down. But luckily, my dogs now don't really care about the fireworks. So um, anyway, yeah, I read. So when I get on the Pupford Facebook page, and I read about the snowballs that the doodles and the long haired dogs get, I read about the whisk and getting them off with the whisk, and I didn't remember that. Um, the one dog is, like I said, really skittish, and so she was not really thrilled about being handled anyway. So I don't know if she would have let me do it, but the one dog, I'm not kidding, his whole face was like one big snowball. I couldn't see his eyes. It was like all over. So the only thing I could do was just let him come in and let it melt. But I didn't realize that there was going to be so much water. I mean, it was the most water in my house I've ever seen. So it was pretty bad. I mean, that's why I don't have carpet downstairs. I did pick up the rugs, but it's like that's why I don't have nice stuff, because I have dogs come stay with me all the time. So they did jump on. I have a client who got new furniture, and so she gave me one of her leather couches, which is a really, really, like, nothing I could ever afford to buy myself. And I have a couch cover on it, but the dogs got it so wet that now it's stained, and I didn't want to tell the owners. I did have them replace my dog bed, but I wasn't going to say, "Oh, by the way, you owe me a brand new leather couch." But the dogs, like, jumped up on the couch and just got it soaked. So that was kind of a bummer. I'll have to have a couch cover on it forever, cuz now it's discolored and looks weird. So, did anybody else have an exciting New Year's, or was it nice and quiet and calm? Or how many of you actually stayed up till midnight? Usually I'm in bed by 8:30 or 9. Um, I did stay up a little bit later just because I had all the dogs and I was trying to get them settled and everything. Anita, my pooch doesn't even seem to pay any attention to fireworks, like nothing's happening, and no training by me at all, perhaps in her previous life. Yeah, I mean, I've never really done any training with Jade. So she just doesn't mind it. So yeah, sometimes it's the dog, and it's their confidence and stuff like that. And some dogs, like, just nothing phases them. So that's good. And then I have, dogs like Hallie, who would just bark and growl and whine and cry and just lose her mind. So let's see, Julie, we watched Doctor Who until midnight. What's Doctor Who? I don't even know what that is. I don't have TV though, so I I just use my computer and watch Netflix and Amazon Prime. Karen, we stay up every year till midnight. We outlasted our pup this year. I can't remember the last time I stayed up till midnight. I go to bed early. Um, when I used to play in a band, we used to have to play till 1 or 2 in the morning, and that about killed me. So I don't do that anymore. But yeah, staying up that late was just murder for me. Um, and Julie, oh, only my 9-year-old son. Your dogs didn't mind it. That's good. It's a sci-fi show. Okay. I Yeah, like I said, I don't. I don't have TV. I don't like paying for cable when it doesn't work half the time. So um, I just use my computer and do Netflix and stuff. Okay. So what training questions do you have? Either related to the holidays or um, something else. I did have a client ask me about, since we have so much snow right now, we like the snow is getting really high to the fence line. And somebody asked, like, how do we let our dog out to go potty? Because our dog could easily jump the fence and be gone, which is true. So I recommended, like, take your dog out on leash to potty or play. You could do a long line. Um, they have a beagle puppy, which beagles, since they're hunters, they can. Her dog climbed out of its crate, like literally. Well, they have one of those X pens, so the dog actually climbed the crate and got out. So I'm thinking this dog's probably going to be able to climb a fence. They also like to dig under the fences to get out and go hunt. So I recommended, which isn't ideal, but I have done that with one of my dogs that was a fence jumper. I have two dogs that are fence jumpers. But I did the stake in the ground with the long cable. So I made sure that the cable, like, she can run around the whole yard, but she can't get up to the fence. Because what I don't want is for her to, like, jump over and then hang herself. So I make sure that it's a distance to where she can still run around, have access, but can't quite make it to the fence. So I said, if you want to let your dog out, but you can't watch or can't supervise, I wouldn't do that if you're going to be, like, gone. But if you're home and can check on the dog, like, do a long tether. Especially right now with when I let my dogs out to go potty, I watch them because they could literally step over the fence right now and get out. So it's kind of scary. There was one other year that we had snow this high, and it got so high that the dogs could just, like, step over the fence. And one day, my two German Shepherds got out, and one actually got hit by a car. Somebody was coming around. There was a big snowbank, and they didn't see him, and he got hit. So it was really a bummer. And now that's why I always go out with him and watch him when there's that much snow. So environmental management is always our first go-to and the best thing that you can do. Sometimes. Um, let's see, Julie, trying to train the dogs to wipe their paws by walking back and forth on a towel. That's great. That's a great idea. You can also, what I try to do with these dogs is I would just take their feet and, like, wipe them off. But yeah, training your dog, like, I would shape it. So kind of the same way that I teach a dog to use a scratch board for their nails. So I'll put a treat on and kind of, like, move it around and get the dog to paw at it and then click and treat. So I get the dog to, like, paw at the scratch board so that they're, like, using their nails to paw at it. But you could do the same thing with a towel and just get your dog to, like, paw at it. But then it doesn't dry the top part where I think they would be more wet on top because that's where the fur is. So I still will just use a towel and wipe their feet off. The other thing you can do is get your dog used to booties. So because I take Jade out a lot, she's zonked right now. And she'll, like, her feet will get cold and she'll lift her feet up and then try to, like, lick the snow off. And so I have booties for her. And when she had a lump on one of her feet, she had to wear a bootie because she kept chewing her stitches out. So she was used to wearing one. I just haven't gotten her used to wearing all four. So I'm going to get her used to booties. Just it's good to do for any weather. So in the summer, when it's really hot and the cement and the asphalt is really hot, it's really good. And then like in the winter when it's really cold and at least in Utah, they salt the roads, and so the salt gets on their pads, but their feet can get really cold. So booties are another go-to that you can do, and then you don't have to worry about feet off. Let's see, Karen, will snow blow our play yards? Otherwise, they would be walking over them. That's such an idea. Maybe my yard's pretty big though, and I'd have to have my neighbor snow blow around it. I have a snowblower that I've never used. Somebody gave it to me when they were moving. They were moving to North Carolina, and they said we won't need it, and so I've actually never used it. And right now it's in the barn behind all my cousin's crap, so I can't get it out anyway. But that's a good idea to like snow blow just along the fence line so that they can't get out. But at the rate we're going, it's like I shoveled this morning, and by the time I got home, you couldn't even tell that I'd shoveled. Like it's just dumping and doesn't stop. Oh yeah, so Karen just answered my question. Yeah, doing around the perimeter of the fence. That's a great idea. I'll have to see if I can pay my neighbor. Like, could you come and snow blow just like around the fence line? I do have some hog fence that's a little bit higher than my chain link, so I don't think it'd have to do that. I think it'd just have to do the chain link part. Julie, I got my first dog to do it long ago. I'm trying to remember how I did it. Oh, like wiping their feet. So yeah, I can see like getting them to wipe the bottom, but I don't know how they would do the top by themselves unless they step on something. And I'm wondering if they have, I don't even know if this exists, but I've seen the little cups where if your dogs get muddy, they put their foot in the water. And then when they pull it out, it's got, it's not just open. So like if this were the cup, there's like plastic things. So they put their foot in, and then when they pull it out, all the mud and the dirty water stays inside the cup, and then their feet come out clean. So I wonder if they have something like that, only that dries it. So I don't know. That might be a good invention for somebody that feels so inclined to have an invention make $1 million. Brian, we got 45 miles an hour winds, 10 degrees. Don't mind the cold, but the wind tomorrow is 0. Yes, tough. Yes, tough walking. So on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day, our winds, we had like hurricane winds. Like we didn't have a hurricane, but that's how strong our winds were. Like they were probably 75 miles an hour. Like I literally thought my trees were going to blow over, and I thought, well, I'm going to be Dorothy from the Wizard of Oz, and my whole house is going to blow away any second. That's how bad and windy it was. So, and then when my California clients were here, there were a few days when I had to take their dogs out and walk their dogs, and it was single digits, and one day it was below 0. So, yeah, I feel you. I've never been to Illinois, so I don't know how cold it gets, but up where I live, it's normal sometimes to be 17 below 0, 18 below 0. And then when it's windy. So when I was coming back from a walk, the wind was so strong and my whole face was covered except for my eyes. But the snow hitting my eyes felt like needles. And so I had to put my head down. I couldn't really see where I was going. So I ordered these goggles, or they're glasses, but they're for people that run in the winter. And my client actually told me about it. So I ordered them, and of course they came the last day these guys were in town, but I'm sure I'll still use them. But you can like walk and hike and stuff if it's windy and snowy, and it just protects your eyes and you can still see. Okay, Julie. Oh, so you didn't want to just get the mud off their feet because they love to dig. Okay, so let me see if I can find, because I have the perfect, you might know what I'm talking about, but it's like it's just like a little cup. It's almost the size of a sippy cup, but you dunk their feet in, but then when it pulls out, it squeegees the water and the dirt off, and then you just dump the dirty water out. I don't know what they're called though. I'm just going to put in dog foot cleaner. Okay, this is what I'm thinking of. I don't know if you guys can see that. Let me see if I can. So this is from Amazon. This is called a mud buster paw cleaner. So you just stick their paw in and see all these little spiky things. It's rubber, so it's not going to hurt them. But you fill it with water. You dip their paw in, and then when they pull the paw out, the dirty water stays in, and then their paws come out clean. Does that make sense? So this is what I was thinking of. There's other ones too, but like here's another one called Paw. I don't know if you can see that, and that one even comes with a towel. So yeah, just get on Amazon, and I just typed in dog foot cleaner, and that's what came up. So that might be what you want. If you don't mind them wet, and you just want the mud off, I would totally go with something like that. It's supposed to snow Friday day until Saturday. Last they said it was going to snow, and it never did. Yeah, and sometimes in New York, you guys can get a lot of snow, but we have had snow almost every single day for the past 2.5 weeks, like every day. It never stops. So we shovel and it just fills in again. We shovel, it fills in. And the roads have been terrible. So it has not been fun driving. It's been super slick. One day I was coming home, and there was a van that had slid off the road and then tipped on its side. There were just cars like all over the place. We have a lot of people coming from California and Florida during Anita. But if you've never driven in snow before, like some people from like California, Florida, places like that, they don't know how to drive in the snow, and they go too fast, and then they slide off and cause accidents. So I actually was following a car the other day from Florida with Florida plates, and this person did amazing. I'm following, and I'm like, oh my gosh, you're from Florida, and you are driving slow, you're driving safe, like good job. So they actually did really great. So yeah, that I'm a pretty safe driver, but I worry more about the other drivers. Okay. Okay, what else can we talk about as far as training? Since I'm supposed to be answering your training questions. Okay, we talked about fireworks. Talked about cleaning feet. Play yards. I just want to make sure. The other thing you can do if it's so, Brian, one thing that I do if it's really, really cold outside, because all my dogs have short hair, and I do have coats for them, but they don't always love to go out walking. If we go up in the mountains and they can run in the snow and play, they like it. But walking on the road, on the ice and with the salt, they don't really love it. Um, so I do a flirt pole inside. So I'll get the flirt pole and play one at a time with them. Because they get to run, they get to chase, they get to grab. And the other thing that I do inside is enrichment boxes. So saving, in fact, you guys probably, those of you that follow me on Instagram, you probably saw Willie with his enrichment box. So it was just, I save cereal, cracker, like something like this. Somebody gave me pretzels for Christmas, so I would save this box, tape it up, throw some kibble and treats in, poke a hole in it, and let like the dogs just chew it up. And if you want to see what it looks like, check out our Instagram page because I have one of Willie doing it. But they can tear it apart. I will also take peanut butter and smear like one side with peanut butter, and they love that. So they can smell what's inside. They're tearing the box apart, but it's mentally enriching, and it gives them something to do on days where the weather's too bad. So things like that. Flirt pole is great if you have enough room and you want to give your dog some exercise of running around. One thing that I do is with a flirt pole, I'm trying to see if I have anything here that I could use to show you. Not really, but so I like to take the flirt pole and go around in a circle. I don't go back and forth because I don't want the dog to like switch directions really fast because it can be bad on their joints, especially their knees. So I'll go in a circle and let the dogs run around in a circle, and then we'll stop, and then the next time I'll go the other way. But I don't go like back and forth. So that's one thing to just kind of keep in mind for your dog's joints if you do use a flirt pole. And Pupford sells the flirt poles. I buy their flirt poles and use them, and I think they're great. So I have one that I bought from Amazon a long time ago. But it's so big and long. It's like having a fishing pole in my car. So I like the Pupford ones because you can actually condense it and stick it in a bag, and it's super easy to carry. So Nicole, we only had about a half an inch on Saturday. Moose enjoyed playing in it. Yeah, that's awesome. Oh, Julie, we want to see Ellie's reaction to first snow because she came from Florida. Yes, in fact, I had a client slash friend. I think I told you guys about this dog that came that ended up having separation anxiety really bad, and we didn't know. Like the owner didn't know that her dog had separation anxiety. But she said, my dog's going to experience his first snow with you because it was going to snow, and her dog was about 9 or 10 months old, but had never seen snow before. So yeah, he experienced his first snow with me, and he did actually really well. Because of his separation anxiety, he wouldn't just go out in the yard and play with my dogs and play around in the snow. He would go out and go potty, and then want to come right back in and would scratch at the back door and stuff like that. So, but most of the time, like especially if it's fresh powder, my dogs love to like play in the snow and romp in it and jump around. So it can be really fun. So yeah, winter is here. It took a while for it to get here, and we do need the water, but man, is it snowing and never stopping. Okay. I'm just making sure that I didn't miss anything. Okay. Well, if nobody has training questions, I've kind of run out of stuff to talk about, and I had a topic that I was going to talk about based on some of the questions that people have had on Facebook, but now I can't remember. Um, I can't remember what I was going to talk about. You guys all know that I get headaches and migraines, but whenever we have a storm, it makes it worse. So, let's see, Anita. When the virus abates, how do I start introducing other dogs to Little Bit? I have a friend who just adopted a shelter dog. Oh, great question. So I actually did this today with Jade. This other dog is a small dog that loves to bark at other dogs. So the first thing that I do is a parallel walk. So meet on neutral ground. So not at either one of your houses. So like meet at a park or meet somewhere. And by the way, the virus is getting like it's spiking here. So now they're going back to like mandatory masks and no big gatherings and stuff like that. So, yeah, instead of getting better, it's getting worse. But anyway, so I like to do a parallel walk first and then allow, I watch body language, and then as the dogs are, calm, then I let them sniff. So, so this little dog, today like barks at all other dogs. So luckily I had Jade, who I know doesn't care and isn't going to do anything. So we did it kind of out in the street, and Ollie kind of barked at her a little bit at first, but then came up and sniffed her. And as soon as he sniffed her, I said, "Oh, good boy, Ollie, good sniffing." So I just let him know that that's good and that's appropriate. And then when Jade sniffed him, I praised him like, "Oh, good job for letting her sniff you." And so just using praise and things like that. If you're not sure how they're going to do, like I knew that Jade was not going to bother this dog, so that's why I just got her out and kind of let Ollie bark a few times and then sniff. But if you're not sure, then I would just start out by doing a parallel walk. And then the dogs are taking in a lot of information. They're air sniffing. So even though it might seem like nothing's going on, there's stuff going on. Like they are air sniffing and they're paying attention to the other dog. Then if they seem like really relaxed, then you can take one dog behind the other and just ask them if they want to check it out. I just say, "Hey, you want to check it out? You want to do a sniff?" And I don't ever force them. So if the dog is like, "Nope, I'm good, I don't want to sniff," then I say, "Okay, that's fine. You don't have to sniff." If they do go up and sniff, I usually do a 2-second sniff and then bring the dog back and say, "Oh, good sniffing, good job." And then switch places. And so then put that dog in front, let the other dog maybe sniff for 2 seconds, and then back away. And then based on body language, if that goes really good, if you see stuff like a play bow or like really loose tail wagging, and it seems like they want to play, then when you get to an area like you could go back to one of your houses in a fenced yard or somewhere safe, and you could actually drop one of the leashes, and kind of let them interact and then take the leashes off. But that's kind of how I do it. Is I do a parallel walk first, neutral area, let them do a few sniffs, and then based on body language, drop a leash and let them play. But it depends. So I had a client who has a dog that like barks at all other dogs and is fearful and has actually snapped at other dogs. And so she wanted to take her dog to a dog park to socialize it. And I said, yeah, that would be a really bad idea. Because if your dog, if you're going for hikes and your dog is off leash and running up to other dogs and barking and growling and lunging, it's not going to be any different at a dog park. And in fact, you might have a dog there that is like, oh, yeah, I kind of don't like your attitude and I'm going to get you. So I talked her into not doing the dog park because I said that would be a really bad idea. Let's do some things first. Introduce your dog to my dog, and do that. So if you have a fearful dog that is afraid of other dogs, the last thing you want to do is throw him in a dog park where dogs are going to run up to him, sniff, maybe try to play, but this dog doesn't want to play, things like that. So that's why I like to do it very slow and neutral and watch body language. Okay, Julie, my 9-year-old son wants to know, why do they like to chew on things? I told him it's because they are bored or it smells like us. Yes, you're right on. So there's another reason too. Dogs explore the world with their mouth. They're kind of like, kids that pick up everything and put it in their mouth. But when they're puppies and they're in the litter, like they play with each other, they bite on each other. They like to pick up things, and especially when they're teething, they like to chew on things. So that's one reason. My foster dog, Willy Wonka, I've caught him chewing on my backpack a few times, and he likes the little plastic buckle. In fact, he's destroyed it. So I have to keep an eye on him. And if I see him chewing on that, then I interrupt him and say, oh, hey, Willie, you can't chew on my backpack, but here's a toy. And here you can chew on your toy. And then I redirect him, and then he'll chew on his toy. So yes, it is normal for dogs and especially puppies to chew on things. And then you're right about boredom. Sometimes if dogs are bored, they'll start to chew on things. So that's why I like to do the enrichment boxes, especially for Willie, because he's in this chewing phase right now and he loves wood. So my wood coffee table, my guitar books, any of my books that have this kind of the cardboard cover, he'll chew on these. So I'll give him an enrichment box so he kind of can tear at that. And people say, well, but then aren't you teaching him that he can rip up your other stuff? But no, because once I give him the box and I say, here, you can rip this up, go to town, have fun. He does it, it gets it out of his system. And then he doesn't try to chew other stuff. So he stopped chewing on my books and my coffee table. He has gone to my backpack, but it could be that it has my scent on it. So you're right. The reason dogs go for socks, underwear, clothes, the remote, things like that is because it has our scent on it. And especially if we're not home and we leave a dog home alone, and they miss us, sometimes they will get into things and chew things because it smells like us. So, yes, you are exactly right. So good job. And the other thing that I would tell your son is that's how dogs, explore. They can't really pick things up with their paws, so they pick it up with their mouth. So, yeah, good job. You got it right. Okay. If we don't have any more questions, we'll do a drawing. And I'll let you go. We've talked about doing a second. I know we've talked about this before and then we never did it, but we're talking about doing a second live during the week and maybe having one during the day for people that can't do it at night or if it's too late. And I just need to find out if it's in addition to Wednesday night, because I don't want to lose my Wednesday night group, because I love, even though we have the same people every week, I love like just coming and chatting with you guys. Um, so I'm hoping it's in addition to, and then like picking a different day and doing like a morning or afternoon or something like that. So we're gonna like try to add another one. Oh, Nicole, interesting to hear that I have to hide socks and undies from Wilma. Friday she chewed one of my hats. Yes. Um, I have to do that too. Socks, um, underwear. I've had to replace 3 remotes now. Um, what else have they eaten? Oh, they've chewed up, and so my dog Maddie never used to be a chewer until she got a health condition that caused her to need to be put on prednisone. And the prednisone made it so that she is hungry all the time. And so whenever I would be gone, like she would chew open my backpack and get the treats out because I keep treats in there for work. So she would get stuff out of my backpack and chew it, but in the course of doing that, she would also chew the backpack. Um, so yes, and the number one thing is environmental management, which is Nicole, what you're doing. I have a baby gate that makes it so the dogs can't go upstairs. So where I have like clothes, like socks, underwear, like stuff like that, I have to put it away. But I just don't allow them to go up there when I'm not home. And then at night when I'm in bed and they're on the bed with them when I'm there. So I could throw my socks on the floor and they're not gonna take them. But yes, during the day when I'm gone, I actually crate Maddie. Daphne doesn't ever chew or do anything wrong. She's like my golden child and my only dog that's not trained. But she gets to have free run of the house because she never gets into anything. Jade, since Jade's a fence jumper, she either goes with me or she's crated. So yeah, I just don't allow them to practice it because I have so much dog training stuff. They'll get into bags. They'll, take treats off the table. I had to put a baby gate. This was the reason I initially put a baby gate into the kitchen because Maddie could open the cupboard. And one time I came home and she had eaten 6 bags of treats. I found the bags in the backyard, torn open, and she had just like had a heyday for 3 hours eating 6 bags of treats. So I now close that off so she can't go in there. Because one time she did it in the middle of the night. She wasn't in bed. I could hear a noise. I went downstairs and she had gotten the cupboard open and was going to town on treats. So, yeah, I just manage it and then make sure that when I'm not home, I like put stuff up, put it away. Now that I have Willie, I'm going to have to start putting my backpacks like in the laundry room and close the door because I just come home and set him on the floor. But now he's started to he likes to chew the buckles. So yeah, I can't just leave them on the floor anymore because he'll chew them. So Julie, I have to hide my remotes from Ellie and tell the kids to put their backpacks away so Ellie won't eat. Yeah, and that's what I tell clients all the time. They're like, my dog's eating my kids' toys and their shoes and everything like that. And I said, well, it's easier to teach your kids to put stuff away than it is to teach the dog like what they can't have. Because to a dog, and especially a puppy, everything's fair game. Like they don't know what they can and can't have. So then you constantly have to watch them. And like if they start to chew a hat, it's like, oh, hey, you can't have that. You can't chew on that. But here's a toy. Here, you can chew on this. And right now, that's what I'm doing with Willie all the time is interrupting, redirecting. So like I don't get mad at him. He's not doing anything like he doesn't know. So I'm just interrupting him and then redirecting him and showing him what he can chew on. So yes, it's a lot of it is teaching kids to put their stuff away so that the dog can't get it. Because then if the dog is never able to get those things, then they don't get reinforced for it. I also make sure that the dogs have like a lot of toys around, and I do rotate my toys, but I make sure that they have plenty of things that they can chew on because they're going to chew. They want to chew. So make sure you have toys out that they can chew. Nicole, Moose used to be bad with wood, but Wilma has always gone for the softer things. Yeah, for some reason, my dogs like wood. The other day, I caught Willie chewing on something, and oh my gosh, he made the biggest mess. And I'm like, what? What is that? And it was actually a fire starter. So I have these like little brick things that you can put in, and it helps you get a fire started. And he was actually chewing on that. So I had to take that away from him. But he's my wood chewer. He loves to chew on wood. So that's why I give him the enrichment boxes. And I bought those like nylabone things that are like look and smell, and it like mimics wood. And I think it's really made out of wood, but it's not going to splinter or anything like that. And they last a long time. So my dogs do love to chew on those. And I think Nylabone makes them. You can get them at Petco or you can get them on Amazon. So, okay. Well, let's do a drawing. If we don't have any other questions, we'll do a drawing. And then if you think of some, I'm happy to stay and answer them. If not, I'll let you guys go. And I'll drive home in this terrible, awful weather. Luckily, I just live up the street, so I don't have to drive very far. Okay, Jade, you're up. I'm going to let you see that. Hey, can you pick it up? Can you pick one? Pick one out. Pick one. Here. Pick one. Oh, good girl. Brian. Can you see? Good job. Good job, Jane. So we had Renee win last week and Brian win tonight. I'm just going to keep these little papers so I don't have to write them every week. So congratulations, Brian. And your family is getting treats 2 weeks in a row, which is awesome. So you know the drill. You're going to email hello@pupford.com and let them know what kind of treats you want, and then I will do the same. I know she's getting good. We do this game every night where I drop stuff on the ground and I'll practice like, Jake, can you pick that up for me? And she'll pick it up and put it in my hand. She used to run off with it and want to chew it. Now I just have her drop it in my hand. So it's fun having her do this because she gets to practice picking things up, and then I don't have to pick. So she gets to pick. So, yeah, thanks for joining tonight. I hope everybody stays safe with all of the weird weather that's going around. Thank you, Juliet. Luckily, I only live like 2 miles up the street. I can go slow. So you guys have a great week, and I will see you next Wednesday.